As we reported earlier this week, the state of Oklahoma is set to open the country's first religious charter school. The move allows public funds to pay the tuition of children attending the online institution run by the Archdiocese of Oklahoma City and the Diocese of Tulsa. Supporters say this is a watershed moment for the faithful and for school choice. The school is set to open next year. And we go now to Brett Farley, Executive Director of the Catholic Conference of Oklahoma. Brett, great to be with you today. Curious,
Thanks for having me, Tracy.
Tell us how this idea for the school came to be and the significance of the name, Saint Isidore of Seville.
Sure. Well, the idea really actually was born out of the pandemic. As we explored the possibilities technologically of how to meet the educational needs as kids were stuck at home, we realized that the horizons are actually much larger here, particularly in the rural areas where kids usually only have one option in the public schools. So as that conversation began to evolve, we realized, with the Supreme Court decisions, this could turn into the first religious charter school in the country. So that was the genesis of the idea. Saint Isidore, of course, is the patron saint of technology, and so it seemed appropriate that would be the namesake of the first school.
Yeah, I know it's probably too early to tell, Brett, but any idea of how many students may enroll and also what the curriculum will look like?
Sure. Well, the curriculum will be just the same as it is in any other Catholic school, but obviously made appropriate for virtual education. Right now, we're aiming for 500 students in our first year. And then as we continue to grow, we'll expand that out and accommodate as many kids as we can.
Yeah, and last week, of course, as we mentioned, the statewide virtual charter school board voted narrowly 3-2 to approve the school. In your opinion, how big of a win is this for Catholic education and overall for school choice?
Well, it's a huge win for religious liberty. Obviously, this is a battle that's going on across the country, and so we need to look at this in that broader context. But it's a part of a massive move across the country for broader school choice and options for parents. Our governor Stitt a couple weeks ago signed into law a groundbreaking tax credit program here in Oklahoma. So we see this move as just an extension of that broader movement to give more options to parents so they can decide where their kids are going to go to school and how to get the best education.
Yeah, and unfortunately, though, the approval of the school has not come without some pushback. In fact, I think some lawsuits are anticipated. Talk to us about that and why some maybe see this as controversial.
Well, yeah, we certainly anticipate the possibility of a lawsuit. Opponents have signaled that even before the decision. And their argument is framed basically on separation of church and state grounds. Of course, we believe we're in the right. We're basing our argument on Supreme Court precedent. U.S. Supreme Court has already said 3 times in the last 6 years that a state needn't offer a program of funding to private schools. But if they choose to do that, they cannot discriminate against religious institutions because they're religious. Again, they've said that 3 different times. They can't have made it more emphatic than they did. And so we're relying on that precedent as our backing for what we're going to do. We're very confident that we'll prevail in this no matter how long it takes us.
Yeah, and this school, it seems, is going to change a lot of lives in many different ways. Things for parents, maybe those who want to send their children to Catholic school but simply aren't able to afford it. Talk to us about how this virtual school will help to ease that financial burden.
Well, yeah, I mean, starting any school is cost prohibitive, and that was one of the motivations here. We recognize that there's a vast need, again, largely in the rural areas of our state, that kids only have one option. And if those options are not adequate for what the kids need, then they have to have something else. And we want to provide that option to them. But I think more importantly, we have a large swath of students in our country that are struggling with some level of learning disability or learning challenge, whether it's mild dyslexia all the way to full-blown autism. Those are unmet needs, and the Catholic Church has a mission to meet those needs. And so we see an opportunity in the virtual realm to style a sort of education that can reach out to those kids and show them that they have some great talent that God's given them that they can bless the world with, if only they're given the right tools. The Catholic Church has a long legacy of doing that, and so we want to extend that to those kids in a virtual realm in ways that they would otherwise not be able to.
Brett, we have probably maybe 30 seconds left or so, but any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, number one, I'd ask that the audience pray for us. This is going to be a long road. We could see this case obviously filed in federal court and then make its way all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. So we could use a lot of prayers. And just continue to be vigilant in the fight for school choice, for religious liberty. This battle is not going to end soon.
Yeah, and Brett, we are praying for you all. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. God bless.
Thanks, Tracy.